everybody, welcome back. YouTube.com/Geek Aloud for another Let's Install. Today it is Baldur's Gate 3, the very excellent Baldur's Gate 3, going onto an Xbox Series X, a digital purchase we've made here. So we'll go ahead and hit install. We own this, picked it up currently. It's not on sale, it was somewhat recently released within the last month onto the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Obviously, there's the reduced multiplayer support, as in no multiplayer support, if you're playing on the Xbox Series S. If you're playing on the Xbox Series X, as we're installing here too today, it is a complete same version, if you will, as the PlayStation 5 version of Baldur's Gate 3. If you're looking for that install, it's back a bit on the channel. The other thing I can tell you is that we have done a Gaming Enforcement Agency in-depth, hands-on discussion and review of the first 5 hours that we, and when I say we, I mean myself, Bully and Unky Dunky, the first 5 hours we each put into Baldur's Gate 3, that was encapsulated in a Gaming Enforcement Agency discussing on this very game. So be sure to check that out. But for now, let's install Baldur's Gate 3 Digital Edition onto an Xbox Series X, and I can tell you that will cost you 137.51 gigabytes. So let's install this. Once the install is complete, as we always do, we'll boot up the game, check out the settings menu, and make any recommendations that are needed, any suggestions, turn off motion blur, for example. And as we always do, we'll dive through the accessibility options and see what's available there. Any suggestions we'd make for tweaking the accessibility options. All that to come at the end of this video, of course, once the install of Baldur's Gate 3 is complete. So let's do that right now. Let's install right here, youtube.com/Geek Aloud. Baldur's Gate 3, Bully, you've been playing it as well?
Well, I've been, and this is probably why it doesn't hurt. So when I get a bit frustrated with Starfield, I've been flicking over to Baldur's Gate on the PS5, and it's a completely different experience, obviously, and a completely different way to do an RPG. So I think, and it sort of almost makes the glaring issues in Starfield probably stand out a little bit more because of the way that you can go about things and the different choices you can do. It's a lot slower paced than Starfield. It's your traditional RPG game. Obviously it came out about a month ago for the PC and released a couple of days ago for the PS5, I think, and you could get it 4 or 5 days early if you got the digital deluxe edition, which is what I did. It was very hard to get into. I don't know how you found it, Unky or Troy, jumping into it, but that first sort of hour or two where you're just sort of trying to work out the mechanics of things, and it's very, it's based on Dungeons and Dragons, the board game, so it's very dice heavy and roll heavy, and a lot of the combat even is there's a lot of luck element to it. Yes, you can try and spec your characters and put good weapons in and level them up to how you like your gameplay, but there is certain elements of it that will still come down to luck with that doll rice, and that doesn't matter whether you're in combat, whether you're in conversation with people and that sort of stuff. So just getting your head around all that sort of stuff I found pretty difficult the first couple of hours, and it is really hard, the combat I found in that same period of time. And it's not until you start getting some companions and you can work out the actual mechanics of how you move around the battlefield while you're fighting. So you utilising things which you don't really think of to start with, but if you can get the higher ground, then you've got a better chance of hitting them with ranged attacks and those sort of things. If once you get your head around that, I've really enjoyed playing it, and that slower paced, and it's probably what I'm missing out of Starfield is that real exploration part of it, where you can sort of find a little path, you go off there, and then you start what you think is just going to be a small little path that you find a hidden cave, and in that cave's 3 more side quests and 2 updates to other quests that you've got going on, and then you find some equipment, and then you double back and come back out, and then you'll find something else. Like there's parts and even companions that I'd missed that you, in essence, you could find in the first 5 or 10 minutes once you get out of the tutorial sort of area that I didn't find until 5-6 hours in. So that's really scratching that itch for me, that exploration part of it. And I know you guys have gone hands-on with the PS5 version as well. Unky, I don't know what your thoughts are on the difference between the PC version and the PS5 version, or whether it is pretty much like for like.
Yeah, it's vastly the same experience. I've been playing obviously on the ROG Ally, so not your full version PC, at all the frames and stuff. So I was playing it probably about, it's almost a 60 frames per second in handheld mode, then bumping it up on the TV with the Xbox controller, probably running about that 30 frames per second at a reasonably high resolution. So still look pretty good on the TV, but yeah, having it on the PS5 with that performance bump at 60 frames per second, it does sort of create a sort of smoother experience on the TV. Not that it really matters in a game, as you said, that's not really solely based on hand-to-hand combat or twitch reflexes like you would in a Starfield with shooting and stuff like that. So it's more methodical. So the frames don't really matter, but it does create a nice, more smoother experience, especially with the menu navigation. I think they've done a pretty good job to translate all the controls you can onto a controller as best they can with
They
the
have
radial
nailed
menus.
that R1, L1 thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they've really nailed that. It's really easy to understand the way the characters work and move and all that kind of stuff. My only gripe is at the moment, yes, the combat is probably my least favorite aspect of the game. It even playing on the easiest difficulty without a mouse and keyboard, the mouse, and I can understand why computer, it's probably the more superior experience to the mouse and keyboard, is because you'd be able to easily select your characters and move them and strategically around the battlefield much easier than it is to use a controller, where I'm sort of playing the game more like a third person action game where I'm walking around and all my crew's following me, and then
Can
we
I
hit
offer a
combat and all
tip?
of a sudden I'm positioning. Yep.
The tip from me, man, is hit L3 more often. And if you hit L3, it goes into like mouse cursor mode, and then you can select like, because I was having trouble like opening boxes, or you rescue a goblin early on. And he's like, "Oh, my backpack's around here somewhere." Open it up and you can have what's in it. And I couldn't find it until I hit L3 mode, and then I was able to move the cursor and the screen, highlight the backpack, and open it. And once I had that in the full world exploration, that is a huge help in battles as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I mean, it's not like I had no real issues. Like I had some tough fights, but I was finding that I had a pretty decent party with good abilities and stuff that was sort of pretty well balanced now to fight most things. But I found there's been a massive difficulty spike since hitting right at the end of Act One, which is sort of the main big sort of area that I've unlocked everything. I've done pretty much all the side quests. So the main thing I need to do now is essentially get myself to Act Two, and
Can I
I've
ask
got
on that point? Is Act Two like at the end of a bridge? Because I accidentally stumbled onto this bridge really early on, and then it said, "Make sure you've mopped up before
was
you
that
cross this
was
bridge."
that with the dragon? You
Yeah.
see yeah. So that's one way, but there's a goblin sort of area where there's one of the main quests is to defeat all three of the goblin leaders.
Okay.
Problem you've got there is I took out essentially two of them without sort of alerting anyone, but then the third one I kind of had no other option but to sort of kill him, and did it really well actually. He was sitting on a throne, and I just started combat by knocking the throne over, which knocks him on the ground. And then my next move was to position my character near him, and instead of actually attacking him, was to just shove him down a hole.
Yeah. Okay.
So before he even had a chance to attack, I've shoved him down. Then I took out the small goblins. There's maybe sort of 10, 15 of them, and once they were done, I could fast travel out of there.
Nice.
Problem I've got now is there's a place for you to go to the Undercroft, which is one of the way they suggest to get you to Act Two, the easiest way. But the problem I've got is because of now I'm out of that area. Every time I come back into that area, I've got to fight no shit probably like 40 to 50 goblins that are there because they're automatically aggroed to me. So, and there's no fast travel inside of this area. So you actually have to fight. And it is and there's no way that my group is powered up enough to fight these guys that are above my level and attacking me. Like you might have 15 of them attack you before you even get the chance to attack. You then attack, and then all of a sudden your attack misses for that one chance you get. And I'm like, are you bloody kidding me? So I'm like, oh, I'll try the other way. I'll go down this well and go the other way. But there's these spiders that are over leveled and just kill me every time I try and get through there. And then if you go to the bridge way that you're going, they're like, you're severely underpowered for this area, so don't go this way. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do anymore. So all the enjoyment I was having with this game is kind of just halted this one bit where I feel like I'm stuck, not being able to progress any further, and not due to skill, but it just feels almost unfair with the way it's sort of ramped up its difficulty. And yes, there's probably some more things I could do, whether I could go speak to a lot more of the characters I got back at my camp and maybe put them in my crew, and maybe they've got some side missions I haven't done that might up my experience to level 5 and I get some more upgrades. But at the moment, because I've been stuck in the Starfield, every time I've tried to jump back into this and try to force my hand through this, whereas in something like Starfield, the combat I could easily brute force my way through some tougher difficulties because I'm used to first person shooting. But for this that's so strategic for the combat, and you got to work out your builds, and there's an element of luck with the D&D stuff, as Bully said, with the dice rolls and all that kind of stuff, and so many mechanics and the ways you can set things up. I'm just like, in my head I'm like, at the moment have the brain capacity to do that right now and take forever to then like I've just the amount of times I've done these fights and I've been there for 15, 20 minutes and then just like nah stuff it I can't
Yeah.
it's going to keep going and I kill these enemies think I've moved somewhere then all of a sudden I'm doing it all again. I'm like no I need some time to sit down and probably respec a whole bunch of stuff and maybe look at some guides about how to do it. I did Google it just to see and yeah it does seem to be not a gripe but like a lot of people have said that yeah it does ramp up a bit where all of a sudden you're fighting these levels that well above you and you're only sitting at level 4 yourself for all your characters. So as much enjoyment as I can see how good this game is, like fully expanded. I think I talked about it the previous week when I was on. Like the character interactions, the story, the way they tell it, the branching storylines is just impeccable and done so well that I can't knock it. I know why it's getting 10 out of 10s. I know why it's in the game of the year conversation. But yeah, at the moment, just a little bit stuck.
Fair enough, man. You bring up interesting points, though, because I've been reading online that apparently Act 2 is where the game really hits its stride and gets good. And so knowing that if I cross that bridge and I'm into Act 2, part of me is tempted like, oh, screw this Act 1. Let's just jump into Act 2 and see how we go.
Yeah, maybe there's some sort of lower level enemies towards the start that I can sort of maybe grind on or something. I'm tempted to maybe just do it and just see what happens. But because at the moment I can't see myself getting through this goblin camp, which is annoying because of the fact that I've already been to the Undercroft and I'm thinking maybe if I just pushed a little bit further in the Undercroft the first time, there may have been a fast travel point under there, which there probably would have been. And now I can't get there.
And can you see on screen here, man, have you solved many of these puzzles? They're like the Merlin challenges from
Hogwarts.
I've
solved a few of those. I felt really bad. I killed the owlbear and his cub.
I was going to ask you about that. I killed the bear, and that's to your earlier point, Bully, where I learned about taking the high ground and then all your shots have a way higher percentage chance. It was killing that owl that taught me. But I felt so bad when its cub comes up and cries at its dead mother's feet. That I had
evil man.
Scum. No, I rolled it back. I went, no, I'm not killing this owl. I went back a save and just walked in and then walked away, left it unscathed. I couldn't believe myself.
Well, if you've got one of your characters that can talk to animals, you can actually recruit it back to your camp. So,
I didn't know that. I've got a potion to speak to animals, but I didn't know when to pop it. I'll go back to the cave and do it.
Yeah, so if you got that, you'll come across a dog, a dog that you can recruit as well. That's master's dead, and you can recruit him back to things. So you can recruit a whole bunch of animals and characters back to your camp, which is
quite
cool.
There's actually one of the characters has got a spell that you can use instead of using a potion. He's actually got a spell that you can just cast, and it gives you 10 minutes or something of talking to animals.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And I was disappointed that they didn't go with our suggestion of the gyroscope dice roll for the PS5 controller. Every time it comes up on screen, I'm like, man, they've missed an opportunity here. And how are you finding it, Bully? Are the dice rolls going your way, sir?
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things that it depends where I'm at and what I'm doing and what the conversation is. There's quite often I'll just go, okay, I failed it. I'll let it slide. I'll just wear the consequences of it and move on. And there's other times that I'll sort of go, nah, there's no way. I'm reloading saves and yeah, okay, no, I didn't get the dice roll again. Reload until I get what I want.
Oh, really? I haven't gone that hard at the reload. The only one I've done so far is the owl.
No. I've sort of done it with a few things where you sort of go, no, I really want to get over there, and the only way I can do this without fighting 10 people at once is to get the persuasion through. So I sort of go, well, some people might look at it and go, that's not the right way to play, but, I enjoy doing that way because I know then I can get to that next bit and then enjoy that next area that I'm in.
Yeah, yep. How do you like the look of my character, Unky? You'd be shocked to know I went with their default pre-build and just went, yep, that'll do. Let's get me into the game.
No,
I spent no time in the character creator.
That's okay. Some people say that's the way to play the game. Like I know people with their other games, Divinity and Original Sin 2, that a lot of people said, yeah, well, I mean, they create a good backstory for the character. Why not pick him and, let them have that? So, no, nothing against that. I mean, he's no Nathan Drake. That's all right.
But look at him. He's the thing of beauty. Are you happy with your creation, Bully? What build have you gone with?
No. I just used one of the pre-builds, so I went with the vampire. As my main.
I was tempted to go vampire, but then I was put off by was it Skyrim? I think that had the negative perk for vampires in daylight, and that's put me off vampires.
Well, it's funny because there's one. This is probably not giving too much away, but he does have an ability to bite enemies to refill health. So
nice.
But the first time you use it, if you have a party with you, the first time you do it in front of a party, they're all shocked and can't believe what you've just done. I can't believe that you're a vampire and you didn't tell them, and it's a whole other thing by using it. So I've sort of
so you
as
bid
it
all
turned-
those crew, and now who are you flying
well,
with?
it's funny you say that, because you can actually, when you go to your camp and you rest, there is you wake up in the middle of the night while they're all sleeping, and it gives you the option. It goes, you need to feed, so it gives you the option to either
Nice.
feed on your party, or go and find an animal or something to feed on. So you can actually start chewing on them in the middle of the night.
And you called me a monster for killing the owl mum.
I went and found an animal and ate that.
Yes.
For how long? How long, Bully? How long is that going to last you?
Probably not very long.
You'll be chewing on your mates in no time.
Oh, probably not long, because I'm interested to see where it goes if you do start chewing on it.
Yeah, that'd be great to know. I'm only 5 hours in, Bully. How deep in are you, mate?
Oh, probably about 10 or 12.
Yep. And highlights so far?
For me, it's the exploration, as I said before. That for me is the highlight of it. It's just moving around the world, working out different things. As you're wandering around, you have your perception that can identify different things or traps, and you can find different. Just wandering down a path, very much in the Starfield mold. You can just be wandering down a path and come across someone, and there might be a conflict on the side of the road or something, and on face value, you sort of look at it and go, no, I'll side with that person. But then when you get further into the conversation piece, you go, oh, gee, I've made the wrong decision here. That the person I've backed is the wrong person, but you don't see that to start with. So a lot of that, just that mystery of how things, or not knowing and not being able to foresee how things are going to play out is probably the highlight for me, I would have thought.
Nice one. Can I suggest, man, on the exploration front, what I've noticed with playing Starfield and Baldur's Gate simultaneously is that I really enjoy the fog of war on the mini map in Baldur's Gate 3. And then I notice it's absent in Starfield. Like anytime you pop your visor up, you already know where the anomalies are. Do you think they could introduce that sense of wonder if instead of automatically having those points plotted, you needed to do something game mechanic wise, either approaching the planet or landing on the planet to reveal those points? Would it be something as small as that would make it a bit more interesting and it give you more a sense of exploration?
Oh, look, to be honest, probably not. Like I think a game the size of Starfield, it really does need quest markers, and I know some people hate them, but I think in a game that size it needs it. Baldur's Gate probably doesn't, because there's a lot of things going on in the world, but there's not, and it does have some quest markers. It gives you a general area to go, but it doesn't come up on the screen. It just shows you on the map.
Yep.
When you jump into the main map, sort of the rough area that you need to go, and not exactly where you need to go like it does in Starfield. But I don't think you can do away with that in Starfield. Otherwise, you could find yourself, what was this quest? I had to go to this planet. Then you land on this planet, and you could be wandering around for hours. And and this is probably a bit hypocritical in the comment, is that as much as I miss that exploration and the wonder of some of the other Bethesda games, is I also don't want to just be wandering around aimlessly, because let's be honest, some of those planets are pretty barren. There's not a lot to them.
Yeah.
You don't want to just be wandering around for 2 or 3 hours trying to find some item that you've got to pick up, or a person that's hiding behind a tree that you can't see or whatever. So I think Starfield really needs it, but Baldur's Gate has it to a minor degree, just that it's a general area on your main map. But and the world's not as big, so it's not as much of a requirement, I don't think. And there's a lot more going on in the world in Baldur's Gate, in my opinion. There's a lot more of the world that you can actually interact with and do things differently and approach things a bit differently. You can do a degree in Starfield to some point, but I think it's just a bit more open-ended in Baldur's Gate. That's just my opinion, and you guys might have a different view.
You're right, mate. On screen now is a great example. Have you guys come across this random NPC? Because this has been my highlight, this side quest that I haven't really engaged with, because you get the option to engage with. But have you guys met this guy on screen? Have you seen him before? Do you know the twist that's about to happen?
It looks vaguely familiar, but I can't. This might have been one of the ones that I go, no, I don't want to do this at the moment, and backed out of it.
Unky, do you know the reveal that we're about to see here?
I don't think so.
This is amazing. So the main sort of thrust of the story is you've got these eye parasite worm things, This guy here randomly came across him. He's the devil, and he's offering for your
Oh, no, I
soul
have.
Yes,
It's
yes.
great.
Sorry, yeah, I came across him in a completely different area. That's all.
I didn't suspect this at all. I thought this was such an unexpected, fantastic twist. I'm like, bang, this is already amazing. Like, just out of nowhere, just such an interesting, tiny little story thread, but so well delivered. This is my favorite bit of the whole game so far. As I said, I'm only 5 hours in, but absolutely loving my time with it. I cannot decide which game I'm enjoying more, Starfield or Baldur's Gate 3. Unky, do you have a clear winner at this stage? Or?
Well, only because I can keep playing it and I'm not stuck Starfield at the moment. So, and I said, like, you guys obviously like real fresh in the balls. I've been playing it for the last sort of few weeks as well. So the gloss has worn off a little bit more than what it would be for you guys that have just started playing it. So whereas the gloss of Starfield's really got me in now. So I do jump back to it, but it's just very hard to jump back to a game where I'm fully stuck. Whereas Starfield, I can find myself enjoying instantaneously and know what I'm doing and all that stuff. So for me, it's Starfield at the moment.
Fair enough. How about you, Bully?
I don't think I've got a favourite as such, but I think in terms of, being a big RPG fan, I think the pros and cons of each game really work with each other, if that makes sense. So the great things in Baldur's Gate are probably the things that are lacking in Starfield and vice versa. So the fact that you can play one for one night, put 4 or 5 hours into it and sort of go, and then the next day you go over to Starfield, I think that's probably getting me through some of those annoyances in Starfield a little bit, is that I can just go, okay, I'm going to put it down, but I've got this other fantastic RPG that really fills the holes that Starfield's lacking. So for me, just being able to work through both of them, sort of simultaneously, or whichever one sort of strikes you at any particular moment that you've got to be able to sit down and play, I think it is probably weird because I've never had that, 2 games releasing in a very short space of time that have been able to do that, whereas these can.
Yeah, very complimentary games. They're great points. So let me ask you it this way, Bully. Once we go off air tonight, which game are you booting up?
I was sort of halfway through doing something in Starfield, so I'll probably be back at Starfield. But now I'm watching now I'm watching some of this footage going, oh, no, hang on, mate. Oh, maybe I'll go to Baldur's Gate.
Well, can I just suggest that if we do ever want to get off air, we're probably going to have to move on because it's already it's nearly 9:30. We've only spent on 2 games. So.
Sorry, mate. Fair call. Sorry, the last thing I wanted to say is to Bully. Bully, I've found the world interaction mechanics and the NPC so much like The Witcher 3. So often I'm playing this and I'm enjoying it the same way I did The Witcher 3. Has it struck you in that chord at all?
To some degree, yeah. To some degree, probably not with the massive scale and that obviously The Witcher has, but certainly to some degree, I could see some massive similarities in the world design.
Just what I just saw on the screen then, I'm not sure if you went into your menu to jump over that bridge, hit up on the D-pad to be able to jump automatically.
Oh, pro tip. Thank you, Unky. I appreciate it.
All good.
Oh, that was luck.
Hey, that's something.
Old Uncle Donkey.
Donkey.
Installed Baldur's Gate 3 right here, youtube.com/Geek Aloud. It's been so long I've got to turn back on the Xbox Series X Elite 2 or something controller. All right, let's boot on up Baldur's Gate 3 now. Find that main menu, pull up the settings and see what recommendations need to be made. All right, here we are now at the main menu. Let's boot it on up. Check out the options, shall we? All right, what have we got here? Show tutorials on. Measurement, metric system, yes, thanks. Karmic dice, yes. Auto select character after combat, sure. Controller vibration extra strong, yes, thanks. Stick selection, disabled. Sensitivities, I won't change them now, but if you find it's not sensitive enough or overly sensitive, come back, tweak those values. Auto save on, maximum number of auto saves 5, maximum number of quick saves 5, yes, thank you. Camera options, dynamic camera, yes, following, auto rotate, camera. Yeah, I'll leave that off. That is definitely better. Online visibility, friends only, eavesdrop is off. That is it. Full controller map, gotta love that, well played. Performance mode is on, gamma correction. Now, I won't set it up now, but take the time to set it up for your environment. You won't have the studio lights in your eyes to negatively impact your picture image, hopefully. Audio settings, we'll leave all those at 100 and dynamic range of high is fine. Point and click voice frequency, always. Center audio off. Man, I might come back and turn that on maybe. Sometimes in conversations they can sound a little bit off. That'd be the settings if you're facing that. I'll leave it off for now though. Force mono, no need for that here. Interface, what do we got? North facing minimap is off. Show pings on. Display, yes, yes. Highlights, exploration highlights. Circle and highlights. I'm going to turn all the highlights on just to make it a little bit easier to navigate. Sometimes it's not as obvious as I want it. Circle, circle. Hold to end turn off. Man, I'm always tempted to turn that on. We'll leave it off. Show dialogue options. Show subtitles. Go ahead and turn that off. Anything else? Dialogue size, text size, hotbar arrows on, consumables automatically. Add containers automatically is off, that's fine. Throwables on, poison scrolls, leave all those as default. Accessibilities, camera shake, I'll leave it on, but if you're susceptible to motion sickness, go ahead and turn that off. Longer active search hold is off. Colorblind mode, I'll leave that off. That's fine, that's fine. Share movements, I'll leave that off. Show subtitles is off. And audio options. Okay, that is all the options there. And it's under me now, you can't see it, but I'll tell you the main menu callout currently claims we're using version 4.1.1.4251417. So let's bounce on back now to the Xbox dashboard, pull up the particulars, see if it agrees with itself, and wrap up this install. I can tell you Baldur's Gate 3 onto an Xbox Series X digital install doesn't agree with itself. It's currently version 1.5.4.0, and that is a full and complete install size of 137.8 gigabytes. Thank you very much for watching another Let's Install right here on Geek Aloud. Please check out the Gaming Enforcement Agency where you can see gameplay and hear our first 5 hours hands-on impressions right here on Geek Aloud. What else can you do with the channel? Like it, subscribe it, you'll never miss it. Oh, that was luck. Hey, that's something. Oh! Old Uncle Donkey. Gee, donkey.